I'm Kevin Davis, and this is the Catholic Family Podcast, and I am honored and absolutely thrilled today to be joined by Father Bede Nkamuke, who is a priest from Nigeria. Father was ordained by His Excellency Bishop Daniel Dolan, may he rest in peace, and now works under Bishop Charles McGuire from Cincinnati, Ohio. We're going to talk to Father about his story, how he found State of Vacantism, his path through the priesthood, and the absolutely brilliantly exciting movement and steps in Nigeria. The growth of the Catholic Church in Nigeria right now is absolutely phenomenal to watch. I've watched it afar on social media now for months, and it's brilliant. And I can't wait to get Father's opinions on it and to talk about the church's situation in Nigeria. So, Father Bede, I guess the best place to start is maybe tell people a little bit about yourself. Who are you, and how did you come to be a traditional priest?
All right. Thank you very much, Kevin. I'm very happy to be on this show. So to start from the very beginning, my name is Father Nkamuke Okeshuku Bede, and I was born into a Novus Ordo Catholic family. So I've always been Catholic, even though the Novus Ordo. And now, although my parents were not exactly very ardent Catholics, nevertheless, we went to church, we went to Mass on Sundays at least, and on some other days. Now, I discovered tradition that is at least a Latin Mass, at least, when I went to the university. That was in fact, towards the end of my university in the year 2004. I was in my fourth year, or rather, I was in my third year in the year 2003 when I discovered, when I first heard about the Latin Mass. And then we would go with some of my friends in the university. We would try to raise money for transport, and we'll go for Mass there once in a while. And other times when we can't have the Latin Mass, we just make do with the Novus Ordo in the campus that we have there. And so this continued over a couple of months within that same 2003. And then the next year, 2004, it continued. And then eventually we began to make researches into the differences between the two masses. You see, up to this time, we just followed the narrative of what those who were supposed to know more than us tell us. For example, we are told that the new mass was a kind of let's say an amendment of the old mass, because in those days the priests used to use entirely, and the faithful did not know what was going on with the priest. So in a bid to help the faithful, there was renewal. I mean, until we began to look into the whole question. So the first mass I saw was the indoor mass by the Fraternity of Saint Peter, that is FSSP. And we would go there once in a while. The priest was a very hardworking priest, even though he was then we didn't know the difference between the SSP and the non that is the sort of countries, so we just thought it was okay. So then as we went to this mass, we made more studies. Now, the good thing was that I was never alone in this journey. I had a lot of friends, mostly young men like myself at the time, who made all of these studies together. So we kept making researches and asking questions. We searched out and found so many traditional websites like tradicio.com and some other websites like that. We would ask questions. We were so eager to know what was going on. So eventually we discovered that the FSSP, that is the St. Peter Fraternity, is actually Novus Ordo, even though they say the traditional Latin Mass. So Then when we discovered this, we left. Almost all of us left the FSSP, looking out for something better, a group that has not compromised, with the new order. So then we discovered the SSPX. In fact, while we were with the FSSP, a novice order priest came to learn how to say mass in that same chapel, and eventually he joined the SSPX. So while he was there, we became friends with him. Even when he left to the SSPX, he went to Switzerland I think to study some more, and then we got to meet him, and then eventually we decided that SSPS is the best place to be, and then we became SSPS from the FSSP, and then briefly our stay in the SSP was very brief, because while we were there waiting for him to come back to Nigeria after his ordination, that is ordination and study, we had already moved on to the vacancies position. So, and we found this through, and surprisingly, through an article by Kira condemning this position. You see, that was how we found out about
Interesting.
the first time. So I had first of all, Michael in response against it, and then Chris Ferrara, a very long on the Fatima, wrote a long article about it, and then I got curious, and then we first of all, and then I saw the response to that article by the Diamond Brothers. You see, then. I mean, even considering that the Diamond Brothers were not kind of trained theologians, or nevertheless, their response was so clear that I was immediately convinced that the Chris was wrong. Immediately, there was no doubt about it. And then we read for Chekada's articles also in response to the same argument of Mr. Ferrara, and then I think that was really the last thing that convinced me about the Extravagante's position. You see, and then immediately we were convinced. We made the decision, at least on my own part, we became Extravagantes immediately, and we never looked back up till now. And now, as a group, you see, like I said, we moved as a group. You see, so the leader of the group is a young man called Augustine Mary, who is still in our mission till date. He contacted first Bishop, the CMRI, contacted them. The idea was to get us to be a kind of to get the bishop to pay attention to us. You know what I mean? So because we are so young, we're still in school there. And then eventually, I don't know, somehow Augustine Mary also got in touch with Bishop Dolan, who immediately sent us a priest. Wow. A priest from South Africa, Father Eldred Leslie, who is dead now. Father was killed, in South Africa. He's from there. And then Father came to say mass for us. I think that was in 2007. I think that was the first time he came. He said he was an old man of about 82 years. Wow. And lived in and yet he had to travel that way. And Lagos is not a place where you can travel to if you're at that old. You cannot be comfortable in such a place. So, but he made it. He came, said mass for us for some days, both in Lagos and in different states different town called Owerri. Said mass for us, and then left. The next year also, 2008, he came again because Dolan paid for his transport. He came again to say mass for us. Again, said mass in Lagos and some other places. And then, so we will now begin to have mass once in a year, which was a lot, to thank God for, because before now, we never had masses. And meanwhile, in the year 2006, I attempted to get a visa to come to the seminary, because at this time I was already convinced that I want to be a priest. But before then, all I knew was the Novus Ordo. So I asked my like before this event now, far back in the late 1996, 97, I wanted to go straight to the seminary school immediately after my secondary school, that is the high school. But because then all I knew was the Novus Ordo, because my uncle was is a priest, and so he was like a kind of a guardian to me. So, and then he advised me to go to the college first, matter of fact, and that's when I found out about it, the state of accountancy in the college. So anyway, after I attempted to get a visa in 2006, I was denied a visa to the US. And then I tried again in 2007. I was denied again second time. And then I didn't try in the 2008. Then in 2009, I tried and I got a visa to study in Bishop Sambon Seminary. Now, Bishop Sambon also is has a very important role to play, not only in my own coming to the seminary, but also in our mission, because he was very patient with us. Even though I was denied a visa twice, he nevertheless continued to work hard. He even got the intervention of a congresswoman, you see, to help us. See,
Wow.
goes to show how very much His Excellency wanted us also to come to the seminary. Now, meanwhile, even though I failed to be admitted in 2007, somebody else was admitted. So by 2008, we had a seminarian already in Florida. Even though eventually he had to return back to Nigeria because he couldn't continue with the studies. So, but I got admitted in October 2009, and then I finished. I was ordained on the 13th, or rather on the 6th of November 2013, and then I completed my studies in June 2014. So that's how, yeah. So, but in the meantime, so Bishop Father Leslie came in 2007, 2008. Father Ecoli from it came in 2009 and 2010. Father Ecoli, who is in Washington, Washington State, and then for the Larabi came in 2011. So same as for us. Then I was in the seminary then. Nobody came in 2012. I was ordained in 2013, and I said mass in Nigeria that same year before returning to complete my studies.
And were you ordained father by Bishop Dolan or Bishop Sanborn?
I was ordained by Bishop. I was trained by Sanborn and his priests, and then I was ordained by Bishop Dolan.
I see. Okay. And then when did you return to Nigeria as a full-time priest after your studies?
That was in December. I left US December 2nd, 2014, and I got to Nigeria December 4th of the same 2014. It was a long trip. Then I've been around since then, though I came back to the US in 2017 and 2018 just for a visit, but I've been based in Nigeria since 2014.
I see. And was that difficult for you, Father, when you went to the US in the 2000s? Was it difficult for you to acclimate to the American lifestyle or to the language? What was the hardest thing for you?
Yeah, that's very interesting, because my trip in 2009 to America was the first time I ever was in an airplane.
Wow.
So, yeah, at the when I mean, it was a very interesting flight. But when I got to the US for the first time in my life, I found myself surrounded by lots of white people. It
Mm-hmm.
has felt so new to me.
Sure.
And when the following Sunday we went to mass, I was surprised to find that I was practically, apart from William, who was another Nigerian, I was probably the only black person in the whole place. And when you look around you, you find that there's a sea of white heads.
Sure.
Everyone looking at you out of curiosity and stuff. It's you can imagine it's quite intimidating, because I've never been in such a situation before, in my
Sure.
in my life. So it was, but I didn't find it difficult to adapt to the people, because, well, we have the same faith, for one thing, and secondly, the people were very, very respectful and nice to us. So it was easy for us to get used to them. You could tell that they went out of their way to be good to you. But the parishioners, the seminarians, everybody was nice. So if I felt quite at home, and very easily too, in a short time. So I had no problem with that at all. Yes.
That's interesting. And was that something that while you were in the seminary, did you go back to Africa, to Nigeria during the summer, or did you stay in the US the entire time?
No, I did not go back because
Okay.
the cost of returning.
Sure.
So I stayed in the seminary throughout. But Bishop Sambon, in a bid to accelerate the studies, what he did for us, myself and another seminarian called Jorge Bosco, who is married now in Argentina, what he did for us was to have summer classes from from
Mm-hmm.
from our second year. You see, I had summer classes from the second and the third year, and then himself, Bishop Samuel himself, taught us courses, and then for the dispositor, taught us some courses too during the summer period. So it was not, even though I didn't go home with the rest, it was nevertheless, it was very fruitful, my stay, the vacation that we spent. And then I helped around the seminary too, because we still had to assist with masses and taking care of the places. So in all, it was a very fruitful and interesting stay. Even though at some point, when I was practically alone each holiday, nevertheless, it was not something. It was very uh, memorable for me because it was enjoyable. Yeah.
And were you homesick at all during that time? Was it something that you really missed being back in Africa, or was there so much going on that it wasn't really a problem?
I wasn't too homesick. Yes, I was, but just for a brief, to some short, in a little way,
Mm-hmm.
because well, first of all, Bishop Sambon, being so kind and gracious, allowed us to make calls home once a month. You see, so it
Mm-hmm.
was really very good for us. At some point, it even became, even allowed us to make even more frequent calls once a week. So there was really, he made sure that I'm sure he must have considered, that we don't go home, right? So therefore, he made it as made the stay in the seminary as comfortable as possible. So I mean, I missed of course, at some point, there were times when I wished I could have gone home, like when my grandmother died,
Mm-hmm.
my dad's mom, when he died. So I wished I could have been there, but nevertheless, other than those times, I think it was fine. I mean, I didn't miss home that much, like you said, because there was so much to do when you're in the seminary school. There's so much to keep you busy that you don't really find enough time to wish you were home.
Sure. And so when you came to the U.S., Father, did you bring any Nigerian customs or foods, or did you start cooking for the seminary some Nigerian meals or something?
Well, not I didn't do that myself, but some other seminarians who came after me did so during the
Mm-hmm.
holidays, and I brought some Nigerian clothes. at the beginning, but I never got to use it because it was so strange to wear that even His Excellency, it was difficult to adapt to. Imagine people will think you are in a kind of a costume or something, so you don't want to do like so. Nevertheless, so well, we didn't have much. I didn't cook. We know we have a cook already in the seminary, Dorothy, who is always the housekeeper. So we didn't get to do an experiment. However, when I go to Ohio, that is St. Gertrude, Bishop Dolan allows us to experiment with Nigerian foods. And thankfully, there was an African market close by, and there was this Jungle Jane. Was that this Jungle Jane in somewhere in Cincinnati? I don't know. They have foods from all over the world, and you can find some Nigerian food there too, food ingredients too. So we prepared some food. I remember once. This was after I was ordained in 2014. That is 2014. I prepared rice and stew, Nigerian stew, and then Bishop Dolan, always willing to try it to humor a person, right? So he tasted the food and he didn't like it at all because it was too hot, and father was so scared because the reaction was instantaneous. And then, we didn't do that again. He told myself and the other seminarian, well, I guess you both of you will have to eat this food yourselves, because it's not. Yeah, so that was that. Yeah, so we did try so many Nigerian meals, right? When we're whenever we're in St. Gertrude, and then then I understood that during the holidays too, the seminarians, the Nigerian seminarians who were in Florida, also tried some Nigerian meals there during the holiday, but not during the session.
Okay. Yeah. And it's interesting you mentioned, Father, that the Nigerian clothes, because that's something I've noticed. I follow several of the Nigerian parishioners, I think, on Twitter and Facebook, and it's something that you do notice that the way of dressing is very different. It looks very much not something we're used to, but it was something that really struck me, and this was really neat. That I was watching. It was, I think, the first mass of one of the two new priests to come to Nigeria over the last few months. And you see the people, it's kind of, you said, when you go to America, it's all these white heads, and it's the same. You watch this video, it's all, of course, black, black people in Nigeria. That's different to see, and they're all dressed differently. And then they start singing "Tu es sacerdos," and it's like, wow, I know that song, and that's a beautiful thing, because I think that's the beauty of our faith, that you have different cultures, you have different people, we look different, we talk different, but the mass is the same. The hymns are the same, and that's incredible. That's beautiful.
Yes, in fact, now that you mentioned this, you see, when I went to the seminary, there was nothing new, nothing I had to do to adjust my faith. You see, I was already convinced of the position of the Seventh-day even before I went to the USA. So I didn't have to learn anything new regarding the basics, you see, of the faith. I mean, I was very much at home with what was going on, and the same thing I believed in Nigeria, the same mass that we attended, with the visiting priest, the same missal we used, it was all the same. There was no difference at all. You see, I didn't have to make any adjustments. I felt right at home in the seminary, and wherever when I go for the wherever I go for the mass. So there was no difference. And yes, again, despite the vast difference in culture, what united us together was the faith, and that was so. That's something that I find amazing, because even when we studied some of the courses, I found that at least, even though there's a lot to learn, I didn't have to start from the scratch, with regard to the faith, because the foundation had already been set, beforehand. So, excuse me, I have to get the door, because there's somebody.
Sure, Father. No problem.
Yeah. I'll come in later. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. All right. So, sorry for the interruption.
No problem,
Uh,
Father.
yeah. So we there was nothing really to in terms of the faith. There was nothing to adapt to because that was the same thing, the same faith practiced among the faithful in Nigeria. It's the same practice in the U.S. But one of my best one thing I was most grateful for upon arriving in the US was the fact that for the first time in my life, I'm in the midst entirely of people who have the same faith as myself. There was not you imagine you feel so comfortable amidst people because you know that every single thing you believe is what they believe. There was nothing, no cause for tension or at all. Unlike when I was in Nigeria, my family is Novo Sodo, you go to school, all sorts of faith. But for the first time in my life, I found myself in an environment where every single person believed like I do, and that was something that I found uh, something very good that I found my upon my arrival on my stay in the seminary.
And it's again the beauty of the Catholic faith that I mean it's same if I went to Nigeria, it would be pretty shocking, and I'm sure I'd be pretty surprised, just a different culture. But again, I would be among people who share my same faith and morals, and that's boy, we're
Yes.
talking about a beautiful. It's seriously, it's one of the greatest things I think of our faith, and that I've been able to travel around the world, and I've been able to serve mass in Germany, in England, in not in Australia, but I could, and
Mm.
all over the world, and it's the same. I say the same things. I could go to Nigeria and serve mass for you tomorrow, and
Of
that's
course, yeah.
the continuity of the faith is so securing. It's so comforting, and it just
Mhm.
shows you the brilliance of the church and how they've made that universality and
Yes.
consistency.
That's very correct.
And Father, when you went back to Nigeria from America, did you bring any American culture back to Nigeria?
Well, at the beginning, yes, I did. At the beginning, first of all, my accent. Of
Mm-hmm.
having spent all those years in the US, when I came back to Nigeria and I spoke to anybody, they would see at once that I have been to the US.
Okay.
I remember there is this business center where we go to print things for that we need for our use. And then the young man, when I first came, the young man at once he could tell that I was not. I've not been at home for long. And then after some years, when I went back to that place, when my accent changed back to the Nigerian accent, he told me that I have changed my way of speaking had changed. But when I
Okay.
first came, when they first met me, I was speaking like an American. But now, yeah. So anyway, but then that's what we the love. What we brought back home also was the cheese, the eating of cheese and things like that. The food, some of
Mm-hmm.
the food, we try to reproduce that here. And then, but what's the most important of all the culture which I adapted was the drinking of coffee. Coffee.
Right.
You
Okay. Yeah.
see, American Nigeria, but I have ever since I left. I have always I'm so, well, I say I drink coffee on a regular basis now. In fact, in my when I teach in the seminary, every morning I make sure there's coffee on the table before we start the classes, and so on. So, and I
Totally.
mean, not what else? I mean, with our manner of saying mass, so our manner of serving the service, the mass, the same mass. We follow the American method,
Mm-hmm.
basically. You see, um, for example, and mine what I what I did was to combine the seminary way of saying more at home, more with, and then I used it. That's what we do, what we have always done here, And then of course the black cassock, which is something that we got from the seminary in the US, because here in Nigeria the color of priest is actually white. We don't wear black,
Okay.
but then so the reason why whenever people, that's why at some point when I first came to Nigeria, people will be looking at me strangely, wondering who this person was, especially because we didn't have a car for many years after we returned. So we would go by buses to different missions. So you feel people reacting in different ways because of the color of your cloth. So now the reason why I wore black was that even though at the beginning I used to wear white, but because of the dusty nature of our roads and everything, so it becomes very difficult to maintain a white cloth. So I decided to take advantage of the permission, to wear black, by praise. So that's what I did in my case. I think that's really the single thing that has been most. All my seminarians prefer to wear black because of that, even though they are free to wear white if they want to, but they don't. They prefer to wear black cassocks because again, it's very practical to wear black because of the nature of we are very close to dust and dirt and everything, so it makes sense to wear something you can manage properly. So those are a few of the things that I would say we brought back home to Nigeria from the US.
Interesting, Father. And Father, you mentioned now that you have seminarians, and it's growing. And I know again that I've mentioned that you have 2 new priests, and I don't know if you want to tell the story of your seminarians and what's going on there. It's really exciting to watch. Maybe you can just tell us where that started and where you are now.
Yes, it is indeed an interesting story because when I left the US for Nigeria, it was never the intention. I never had the intention of starting a seminary. In fact, I just wanted to just be a priest who went to the different missions and everything. So the idea was that the seminary in Florida we just accept, we'll just take up more Nigerians to be trained. And that was really what everybody, agreed on. So we never intended to have this. But then in 2015, one of our seminarians who was in the Florida was sent home, right, to Nigeria because of academic reasons, right? And then Bishop Dolan asked me to give him another chance. And then he came, that was in January 2015. Just less than a year, just a few months after I came back to Nigeria. So, and then he joined me and I was teaching him some courses. Well, it still turned out that there were some difficulties, in learning a few things and some other issues too. And then he had to leave. And meanwhile, somebody else joined him. There were two young men that were being trained by myself. So what we would do is this: we had two main chapels at the time. One in Lagos State, which is in the southwest. Another in Port Harcourt, which is the River State in the south, or what we call it south. So and so we will spend about 3 months or so in Lagos, all three of us, same attending to the people, having masses and so on. And then we would leave Lagos and then go to Port Harcourt, where three of us will go there and spend another few months there like that. We did that in the course of the year, And then, Abraham left the seminary, and then the other person, Trifle, also left because, according to him, he wanted to get a job and take care of his family, because he was from a poor background. So, but before Trifle left, Father Okerulu, Father John, joined us. So there were now two seminarians. John and the Trifle. And then Trifle, so John joined us in 2016, whereas Trifle joined us early of the same year or late of the previous year. So then again, we continue the same what we've already been doing. We will stay in Port Harcourt for a while, have our classes, then we'll travel all of us to Lagos. We'll stay there, have our classes for a while. Then we did that for a while, and then in 2017, people began to show more interest in joining us. And so Father Thomas, the second priest, the other priest to come home, found us as well. And then some other persons came at the same time. As at 2017, there were 5 young men who wanted to be trained. So Father John was of all of them. Father John was the oldest. The oldest with me, not in age. You see, and so well, I still was not prepared for a seminary. I just wanted just 1 or 2 persons to train. And so when it became clear that we're going to have a seminary, I was so anxious that I didn't know how I was wondering, how am I going to take care of all of these young men, because we do not have the means, to feed such a number of young men, So, and then the people, Bishop Dolans was very much in support of what we were doing and promised to continue helping. And then the people, the members, the few members we had then also did their best to help. But in fact, the women of the chapel in Lagos made it a point of duty to cook for us what stew and soup that will last us for a week every Sunday. They give us every Sunday. So in other words, even though I was very anxious, they themselves they tried their best to make the burden as light as possible, And so we had 5 seminarians, in the course of the years. Some of them left because they could not cope, because people come full of zeal and everything, and then they find out they cannot cope with the studies, and stuff. So, and then as in 27, or was it 2017, towards the end, I think, or I don't know now, Father John and Father Thomas left for Florida, where they stayed for some time, and then Bishop Sambon, to show the interest he had, he even wanted to take even more people from Nigeria, which was quite generous of him, because considering that the seminary in Florida is a kind of a global seminary, right? So it was quite generous of him to agree to take even more, even though because of visa issues and it didn't turn out that way. And then they decided to be teaching us, the Nigerians, even from Florida, to teach us that through internet calls. So in any case, so we had 5 seminarians in 2017, and then as time went on, some left, some joined, and then we had as at end of last session, we had 7 seminarians, and then because of publicity and so on, we now have interest from several places in Africa. A young man in Zambia, that is in the south, the southern part of Africa, showed interest to join them, but unfortunately, his parents were very scared of Nigerian situation. They said Nigeria is a very dangerous place, and so he could not join us. But nevertheless, somebody else is coming to join us from Chad, and then from Togo, and we have people also applying from several parts of the country, from the northern part, from the southern part, eastern, all over the country. Everybody is showing interest in joining our mission. Now, I like to compare. I like to compare in this aspect our seminary with the one in Florida. Just as the Florida seminary is sort of global. Everybody people come there from all over the country, all over the world. The same way in Nigeria, people now from different parts of the world, of the country, now come to the seminary in our little seminary in Nigeria. So yes, as of now we have uh, that is as of this we have 7 persons from different parts of the country, all doing their best, putting much effort. So now our seminary is modeled because according to the seminary of in Florida. So we have all the rules. We try to follow the same rules. We keep the same time and everything. Our class times and we have the same. So as we have the divine office, we have the from the prime, the meditation classes, the vespers, and so on. Complain. We do all of these things, and we try to reproduce here in Nigeria what is done in Florida in the USA. So now, because of the nature, up to now we have been staying in Lagos, but with the return of these 2 new priests, it became necessary for us to find something bigger, not just bigger, but to be in a place that is more affordable and more conducive to studies. Therefore, we decided to leave Lagos, to move the seminary from Lagos to this place. This is a state called Akwa Ibom State, and it's the town is called Uyo, and the seminary is located not very far, about 30 minutes from the capital city of this state. And the difference between this place and Lagos is, first of all, the cost of living is much less here than in Lagos. Now the rent is much more expensive because we are occupying the whole compound, of course, but then the cost of living is much less. It is more peaceful than Lagos. In Lagos, we rented a flat, so we shared the same compound with people of different culture and religion. In fact, they're Muslims and everything, and noise everywhere. You hear music playing by the window when you're trying to pray, and so on and so forth. So in other words, the distraction in Lagos was too much, and also Lagos was situated is far from the rest of the mission. So it was difficult for me to have to drive from Lagos to the other missions that are in the south. So with this new development of staying in this place now in Uyo, it's now things will be much better than it was in Lagos. For one thing, we have the whole compound to ourselves. Secondly, the cost is less. Thirdly, it's not in the town. It's very quiet, secluded area, and it's fenced. So we have the best environment we can get for study as well as for prayer. So that's really the nutshell what we have going now for us in Nigeria.
And Father, are the 2 young priests, are they staying with you then at this new compound, or are they elsewhere?
Yes, yes. They are not. Now, the idea at the beginning was that all of us would, when they come down to Nigeria, at least for the first year or two, all of us would stay in one place. It's good for priests to be together, and so as to edify each other. So that was the idea. But then putting it in practice with the state of security in Nigeria. So the idea was this: we would all stay in one place, and then we would travel to the missions occasionally, to send masses and so on and so forth. But as it happens, that as long as we are as long as the insecurity of Nigeria uh, continues, that cannot be a practical option. Why? Because, first of all, if we are all in one place, we have to travel often to different places, and the roads are not very safe. You see what I mean? So we decided, following also for the Bishop Maguire's advice, we decided that Father John and Father Thomas would stay in Port Harcourt, which is one of our main chapels together. And then they will do the mission trips to the very big. Port Harcourt is not too far from some of the missions surrounding. So they will go by car or by bus. We hope eventually that we'll all get cars for traveling. But in the meantime, whether by bus or car, they can go to different places for masses. Meanwhile, I will be in the seminary with the students, you see, and continue to run the seminary while the two priests do the mission trips. But then even while they are there, they can also teach through the internet. Yes, so that is the plan now. So right now, although right now Father John is in Port Harcourt, Father Thomas is visiting with his family in his hometown in a different state, and I am here waiting for them to send the items from Lagos. That's why I'm here. So because we are moving gradually, they have to send things through with buses, and then I'm to receive them here and send it to the seminary to set up in preparation for the new session.
And real quickly, Father, before we talk about how people can support your missions in your seminary and just the things you say, I mean, priests needing cars, for goodness sake. I mean, I think that any help you can get sounds like it's necessary. But real quickly, before we talk about that, I mean, what is the danger in Nigeria? Is it just lawlessness, or I see continuously crime, and I see priests and nuns being kidnapped from the Novus Ordo. What is the issue for those who don't know?
Well, there's so many things to talk about here. Well, I will try to be as brief as possible, because there is a general breakdown of security. Let's use that way, in that word, in Nigeria. There is. And an American wrote an article, and he said that Nigeria has almost become a failed state. A failed state. Yes. Wow. That is true. And then even before that, years ago, Bishop Donald sent me an article on New York Times where it says that the most dangerous job in Nigeria is to be a priest, a Catholic priest.
Wow.
Yes. Because you see, there is this impression that priests are very rich because of the parish. They get kidnapped and they demand for ransom. You see. Well, now, first of all, in Nigeria, we have the problem of the headsmen, terrorists from the north. We have those who want to succeed from the country. That's my people of my tribe, the Igbos. I'm an Igbo man. And then we'll have those who are angry because of the misuse of the wealth, the oil in the villages. You see, the oil wells and everything. So there are so many sources of tension in the country. You see, and then we have the corruption of the politicians, which is so gross that it is not even a secret that they don't even try to hide the gross mismanagement of the national resources. So therefore, people are angry. You see, unemployment is very high. More than 60-70% of adults, unemployed. People go to schools. The universities are shut down as I speak now because the lecturers are not being paid. You see what I mean? And so I'm not giving you I want you to appreciate the sources of this insecurity, you see. And so one understands, though it's not justified, but one understands why you see young people taking to crime. In fact, when I used to come from Lagos to the east, to the south every time, I would tell myself, each time I enter the car to drive down from Lagos, I imagine anything can happen to me on the way. There's no way to to guarantee. There's no guarantee. Yes, you have police people on the way, checkpoints and military. Nevertheless, the crime still happens despite the so-called presence of these security people. So yes, the under well, I cannot, for example, the danger. Let me also tell you how this dangers this is distributed. Like for example, I cannot drive to the north because
Mhm.
the route to the north is so filled with terrorists and bandits and kidnappers that it to be a private car will be at risk on the way.
Wow.
So whenever I'm going to the north, I go there once in a while to St. Mass. I go by flight to the capital city of the country, and then I fly back. Yes, I've only taken bus a few times, but I don't do that again because it's too risky. And then when I go down the other way to the south, I'll always hope for the best, you know. And there was a time when I was driving, and a soldier stopped me and told me that I should not wear my cassock on the way
Hmm.
because I'll be kidnapped, you know,
Wow.
because I've been in danger of being kidnapped. So that's how bad it is, you know. In fact, um, to also we have a chapel somewhere in the east called Enugu Town. Now, from this to go from here to that place can be considered one of the more dangerous trips that the priest can make. As a matter of fact, on a Saturday, some weeks ago, I was driving from a mission in the southeast to another one in the southeast. On the day that I drove on the same route I took, a priest and a seminarian were kidnapped in the same route at the same day.
Wow.
The same day that I passed there. It was raining on that day. The weather was very bad. So you could see how it was easy to kidnap somebody. So I was just, in fact, as soon as, to tell you how strange it is, these people were kidnapped close to a military checkpoint.
Wow.
So you see, a matter of fact, your life is really in your hands, of course, in the hands of God, but you have to take care in that regard. So, yeah, so that's how bad it is. So now, because of these things, that's why, like I said, it became necessary that we don't all stay in the same place for the sake of, because otherwise we
Hmm.
have to make longer trips, you know, and so on. So, but that is really the thing. So because of this, we are now very careful uh, what we do and how we move about, you know, so that we don't get kidnapped by this. Because what it is, they kidnap you, and then they demand for ransom from
Hmm.
those from your friends or relatives, and being so they call such a high amount of money that, I mean, this is for someone like me, you know, who I don't have, and there's no way I can raise such an amount of money within the time given. But if you are kidnapped, I believe, unless they have pity on you, you are as good as dead, you know, because there's no way you can raise. I mean, let's say $100,000, you know, something like that. That's what they ask sometimes. So these things. So because of all of these things, we tend to be more careful. Now, in fact, we came to the agreement that whenever we're making a long trip, we have to dress in lay clothes.
Hmm.
That is the only way to avoid the attention of these people. In fact, a seminarian was returning back to school from his state, and the driver refused to move unless he changes his clothes to a lay cloth.
Wow.
Even in the buses, you know, how much more when you're driving in your own private car. So yes, it gets now to be thankful. I'm thankful to God that I have never uh, encountered any of these persons, even though I have seen many times robbers on the wayside. Is that they come and they have different tactics that they use. Some they will stop you on the way and tell you that your car tires are bad, and when you stop, they will come up from the bush and overwhelm you, and so on. I almost fell into the trap once, but thankfully somebody warned me about them, and then I ran, from that place. But I know the places where I expect to see those people, and then I know how to take precautions, to not to get caught by them. But other than that, I've never really met like robbers on the way stopping me. I've never done that. I never, despite the fact that I probably have traveled, I have driven, I believe, far more frequently than any other driver within the space of 5 years. You see, I drive a lot. We drive a lot to cover a lot of places. So, but I've never once met um, an armed robber on the way. You see what I mean?
Wow.
They've been scared and dangerous, but I've not come in contact with anybody who says an armed robber with guns. No, never, even though we are aware of the danger. So that's how bad it is, and this is really. But at the beginning of our stay in Nigeria, twice we were robbed in our chapel. The first one was in Port Harcourt, where they robbed me of my laptop and my phones and some money and everything. At gunpoint, they had a gun, the gun on me. There were two of them. They came by the window and they pointed the gun at me, and I had to give them everything I had in the room. The second one was while I was in Lagos, or while I was in Port Harcourt, our Lagos chapel was robbed. You see, and then they took many things. None of my belongings. Some young men who lived there, they lost their laptops and a few things there, but not my belongings. So, other than these two times, I think I have not been. We've not seen. And again, once while I was driving, we're held up by traffic, and then some robbers came and They came to my car window, and they took everything from me. Under the threat of shooting me. So took my phone, took all my money, took everything. And then this happened. This has happened twice. It's very common in traffic in Lagos, for example. So yeah, these dangers are there, but we still thank God. We have to keep walking, right? We cannot we can't stop because of all of these things. So
well, and the beauty of it too, Father, is that you hear all of this, I hear how dangerous it is, but your seminary continues to grow, and you have people coming from all over Africa to a dangerous location. And that's, again, it's beautiful. And I think that the faith grows through suffering, right? And I think that's often how it goes. And that's beautiful to see.
Yes. But then this is not to create a totally horrible picture, right? Of Nigeria, of Nigeria. There are, people come and go, foreigners come, Americans come and go, some live here and other things. Even, like, for example, in Lagos, you see most Westerners walking on the streets, and people being, but then you have to be careful. The point is that you have to take precaution. Don't be too. As long as you don't, you just be careful in what you do. You don't have to. You know places to avoid, to avoid danger. So, other than that, I think other than this incident that I mentioned, I think we are doing quite well, because our mission, when I came to Nigeria, we had only 3 missions: Lagos, Owerri, and Port Harcourt. Only 3. But within the space of, this is 2014, 13, and this is within the field of this last 7-8 years, we have up to 13 missions now.
Wow.
You see,
how many people, Father, do you think approximately?
Well, not, you see, first of all, they're not that much, because this was in some places we had only pockets of faithful, pockets of people. But I would say we are, in all, we can count that we are up to 200. You see, but most of the number is in the southeast. In Owerri, we will have a very good, very thriving chapel in Owerri, and then we have in Lagos too, Owerri, Lagos, and then in another place called Umunze, in both of these places in the southeast. So, but the good thing is that people are always asking questions, making inquiries, and trying to know what is going on. And now, all these are numbers is despite the fact that we don't have any signposts in our missions because of the fact that we are not registered. So we thought that we couldn't set up any signposts unless we get ready. But now, with the return of the two priests, for the two priests, they are working very seriously on changing that situation. They're working on that now. So, but yes, the people. As I speak, we just had one we have a possible new mission somewhere far in the south, what they call Cross River State. There's some people there showing interest, in becoming traditional Catholics. And then, but the beauty of our mission is that it consists mostly of young people, young men and women, mostly men, more men than women, but young people seeing the difference between the new mass and this mass, and the things we teach and the things we promote. They show more and more interest. People are asking questions, about this. In fact, we became so well known that the Novo Sodo is beginning to be bothered by our presence.
Okay. Yes. It's always a good sign, huh?
Good sign, yeah.
You're doing something right when they're bothered by your presence. Yes. And so, Father, exactly. How can people? What's the best way for people to support your missions? And again, as you say, as you grow and you have the two new priests, you have 11 seminarians. I mean, really, and you showed me a video earlier, which I hope to find a way to produce and put on the channel here in the next few days, to show exactly where you are, where you're moving to, what new things are happening, and it's really exciting. But you're going to need some help, right? And you have a lot going on. How do people support you from the U.S.? Is it best? Do you have a link for that, or how can they send you some support?
Well, we don't have a link. We have depended almost entirely on Bishop Dolan since the beginning. So he has always sent us support right from the day I came to Nigeria. Unfailingly, he sends us help every month. He had always until his death, And then, of course, Bishop Maguire has continued the support that he has that Bishop Dolan began. So what we do in those days, we refer people to Bishop to the St. Gertrude if you want to help us, we'll just say good. But sometimes we have gotten help, independent help from people who have helped us other than through the SGG, so they have so we don't have a link. We're trying to set up a website which might have a link, but we don't have any of those yet, and also because we can't even have what was that, Quick Teller. We can have that. No, PayPal. We can have PayPal because Nigerians are not allowed, on to have Quick Teller. They don't work with Nigerian accounts. So if there are means to, the principal way people help us is through the St. Gertrude the Great, what they call the mission. The mission. Well, I say they have a provision for helping the missions, so people get help to them, and then they distribute the same, to us and to other missions. But then it is also possible, to help us through. We have account numbers to have. People have helped us from the US, some other from Australia, through my account number, which is a foreign account number with a dollar account, so that works too. But I always whoever wants to help, you have to write me so I can give him the account myself.
Sure.
Because there's always the of fraud, fraud. In fact, at some point, somebody used my email address to write for the deposito for money. Yeah, that happened some years ago. I don't know how to change my email address to a different one because of that. So, so that's how we. And then we are planning, with the help of some faithful in Europe, to have a GoFundMe to see if money can be raised for projects, because as we speak, we don't have we stay in apartments which we rent. Other times we say masses in people's houses. You see, in people's houses. We don't have anything of our own, so we want to see if we can buy lots of land in different places, and then begin to build chapels. And then we also would, of course, would need help with purchasing cars, because of the great number of seminarians, we are in need of at least a Sienna or a bus, and plus with a car, and then also two cars for the seminary, for the priest, for the different mission. But these are the things that we require. But a land is very important, because once you have a land, we can gradually develop the land, no matter how long it takes. When you have a land, then you don't have to pay rent again for the house. It costs down a lot of cost to have a property to your own. So these are the ways that we can be helped, by monthly donations, so we can get things like our own piece of land, our own to build our chapels, and then get our own and get some more cars for our mission. And then we need schools for the children. We are having lots and lots of children now in our missions. So many of them, which is a good thing. So it is becoming necessary for us to train our own kids by ourselves, because the poison of the modern way of training the children is not only in the West, it has trickled down to Africa and to Nigeria. It's really bad what is going on now in the schools. Some of our families now do homeschooling. Some of the two of them at least, and I hope that becomes popular. With time, it can. The problem we have with that is that our parents are not as enlightened as you have in the West. So that is a difficult option for them. The best thing we would have is to have a school for them. I wish, would hopefully with time, that will become a reality, in fact. So, but these are the things we need help with. We need help with, and we very much appreciate whatever is given in that regard.
You hear me, Father? Okay, I got you. I lost you for a second, Father. And so, Father, so how can someone then contact you? Do you want to give out an email address? What's the best way to contact you if they want to give you money, or if they want to reach out to Bishop McGuire, or maybe on the SGG website? I think there will be people interested. So should they contact me and I ask you? What's the best way to do that?
Yes. Well, again, so you can reach us. I have an email address which I'm most happy to give. It's okeymet@gmail.com. That's okeymet@gmail.com. And then I can always give my number if you request it through the email. I can always give my number. And then of course you can always reach us through the St. Gertrude website, Bishop, the SGG, the parish. They can always contact us through them. Both my email, my phone number, whatever help you wish to give to the missions, when it gets to them, it always gets to us as well. So that's also something you can do. So as you prefer, if you want to send it directly, then you can. If you send it into St. Gertrude, that is also most welcome way to reach out to us as well.
Perfect, Father. And I think that anyone watching, I hope that, we see this growth in Nigeria, and that we can help in any way we can, and help in this, these other members of church militants, these members that, different culture, different look, different background, but different language, but the same faith and same brothers and sisters in Christ. And I hope that anyone who's listening to this sees that there are things that they could use. Again, 2 new priests need cars. I know if there's ever something that I've heard that needs some work, that's it. I mean 2 young priests, they just arrived, I think, in the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
I mean, let's help them out with that. I mean, let's help Father with the new seminary, which looks like it's going to be a brilliant place. Really, as you said, Father, it's kind of out on its own. It's very secluded, which looks like a great place for a seminary. But I'm sure it's going to need work too, right? I'm sure it's going to need
Yes.
renovations. It's going to need some help. So anyone watching
Certainly.
it, please, I hope you've heard Father right now. I don't think I need to tell anyone, why you need to support them. Father, I really greatly appreciate having you on and telling us your story, the story of Catholics in Africa, and I hope maybe in the near future we can have you on again and you can tell us, maybe how things are going, maybe how it is in the new seminary. I think people would really appreciate to see that as well.
I'll be very glad to do so. Yes, I'm very happy to do so. And also, thank you too for this opportunity to be to reach out to the faithful. And this is a wonderful. You've given us a wonderful medium, medium to communicate to and to let people know of what we are doing down here in Nigeria. We're very grateful for that.
Absolutely, Father. It's very exciting, and again, I hope to talk to you again next time, Father. God bless you. Bless the other priests and the faithful in Nigeria as well.
God bless you too, Kevin, and God bless your family and the faithful uh, wherever they are too.
Perfect. Thank you, Father.